Welcome to an absolute paradigm shift in how you view the sale of your most valuable financial asset. If you are watching this, you have likely been led to believe that when you hire a real estate agent and sign a listing agreement, an automatic universal machine goes to work to get you the absolute highest possible price from the open market. You have been told that the system is clean, transparent, and designed to protect your hard-earned equity. Today, we are going to dismantle that illusion entirely. We are going to look behind the curtain of traditional real estate brokerages to expose a dark, systemic, and deeply quiet phenomenon that is draining tens of thousands of dollars from unsuspecting homeowners across the country, and specifically within the high velocity, high stakes markets of South Florida. This phenomenon is the weaponization of pocket listings, off market manipulation, and the deliberate shielding of inventory from the public eye. To understand how your own agent could be hiding your property from the very buyers who would pay the most for it, you must first understand the fundamental misalignment of incentives that exists within the traditional real estate brokerage model. When an agent takes a listing, they don't look at your house merely as a piece of infrastructure to be marketed with maximum transparency. In many dark corners of this industry, they look at your listing as a highly valuable piece of bait. They know that whoever controls the listing controls the phone calls, the emails, and the incoming unrepresented buyers. If they put your property on the open multiple listing service, immediately, within minutes, thousands of competing agents from every brokerage across the region will see it. Those competing agents will bring their pre-qualified, highly motivated buyers to the table. A bidding war will ensue, the price will go up, and you, the seller, will walk away with maximum profit. So why would an agent want to delay or prevent that? The answer is pure, unadulterated financial greed, masked as exclusive marketing strategies. When a competing agent brings the buyer, the commission is split. The listing agent must share the financial pie with the cooperating broker. However, if the listing agent can keep your property hidden from the open market for just a few days, a week, or even a month, they can run what is known in the industry as an off-market or pocket listing strategy. This is an absolute lie engineered to induce cognitive dissonance and manipulate you into compliance. The hidden truth is that they are desperately trying to find a buyer themselves or within their own corporate umbrella. Why? Because if they source the buyer directly, they don't have to split the commission. They pocket the entire percentage for themselves. They call it double ending the deal or transactional dual agency. I call it a structural betrayal of fiduciary duty. By keeping your home isolated from the thousands of buyers working with external brokerages, they are intentionally suppressing the natural forces of supply and demand. They are sacrificing your potential overbids and your maximum market premium just so they can secure a double commission check on a lower sale price. Think about the psychological manipulation required to pull this off. The agent sits at your kitchen table and says that your privacy is paramount. They say that by keeping the listing off the open market, they can prevent nosy neighbors and unqualified looky-loos from walking through your pristine home. They make it sound like a premium, concierge, white glove service. This systemic suppression of inventory became so toxic that governing bodies had to step in and implement rules like the Clear Cooperation Policy. This rule mandates that within one business day of marketing a property to the public, the listing broker must submit it to the open multiple listing service for cooperation. But do not be fooled into thinking that a corporate rule solved the problem of human greed. Amateurs and unethical old school agents have spent years developing sophisticated loopholes to bypass these protections. They utilize delayed showings, temporary off-market statuses, and creative definitions of public marketing to continue shielding inventory. They will list a property on the MLS, but explicitly state in the confidential broker notes that showings will not begin for 21 days. During those 21 days, they are frantically running private open houses for their own buyers, trying to lock up the deal before anyone else can even step across the threshold. You must ask yourself a hard question. Is your agent working to sell your home to the best buyer on earth? Or are they working to hide your home until they can find a buyer that maximizes their own personal bank account? Let us enter the second part of this investigation by breaking down the structural nightmare of dual agency and transaction brokerage models that allow double-ended commissions to flourish at the expense of your equity. In many states, including Florida, the law allows a single real estate professional or a single brokerage firm to facilitate a transaction between a buyer and a seller. Under the transaction broker framework, the agent is legally stripped of their absolute fiduciary duty to provide undivided loyalty to either party. Instead, they become a neutral coordinator. They are legally expected to assist both sides without favoring one over the other. Let that sink in for a moment. The professional you hired to defend your wealth, the person you are paying tens of thousands of dollars to protect your interests, is now legally mandated to be neutral. This is where the duplicity of the dual envelope commission system creates an irreconcilable conflict of interest. Imagine a courtroom where the attorney for the defense is also the attorney for the prosecution, and they tell you not to worry because they promise to remain completely neutral and balanced throughout the trial. You would call that a legal circus and an absolute violation of human rights. Yet everyday homeowners across this country willingly sign listing agreements that allow their agents to enter into this exact state of systemic duplicity. When an agent enters a transaction brokerage or dual agency scenario, their psychological allegiance shifts completely away from maximizing your sale price and protecting your liability. Their new unspoken objective becomes ensuring that the deal does not fall apart at all costs, because if it collapses, they lose two commission checks simultaneously. This creates a deeply dangerous environment for you, the seller, during the critical negotiation phases of the escrow timeline. Let us look at what happens during the inspection period. A standard home inspection on a South Florida property will almost always reveal issues, whether it is cast iron plumbing systems showing signs of internal decay, aging roof geometries that impact wind mitigation credits, or outdated electrical panels that present insurability risks. In a clean, traditional transaction where you have a dedicated listing agent who represents you and only you, that agent will stand as a fierce line of defense. They will look at the buyer's repair requests, cross-reference them with actual market data, and tell the buyer's agent that their demands are completely unreasonable and that the seller will not concede a single dollar of equity. But what happens when the agent represents both sides? When the inspector delivers a report detailing $10,000 of deferred maintenance? The dual agent sits in the middle of a financial conflict. If they push back too hard against the buyer might walk away from the deal, and the agent loses both the listing commission and the buying commission. If they push back too hard against the seller might dig their heels in, cancel the contract, and put the home back on the market. So what does the dual agent do? They begin a subtle psychological campaign of manipulation directed squarely at you, the seller. They will look at you with an expression of manufactured concern and say that the market is shifting, that insurance premiums are skyrocketing, and that if you let this buyer walk away, your property will become stigmatized on the public market. But a fast sale below market value is not a victory for you. It is a victory for the agent's efficiency and profit margins. They would rather sell your home for $900,000 and pocket the entire double commission themselves rather than sell it for $1 million through an open competitive bidding war where they have to share the commission with a cooperating broker from another firm. The math of human greed in traditional real estate is clear. Half of a larger pie is often less appealing to an unethical agent than the entirety of a slightly smaller pie that they keep entirely for themselves. This is the hidden truth that traditional old school brokerages do not want you to analyze. They have built entire training modules around how to convert listings into double-ended internal sales, completely ignoring the fact that this practice systematically suppresses the ultimate value of the homeowner's equity. As we advance into the third phase of this technical exposure, we must address an even more destructive and silent weapon used by traditional real estate agents against homeowners: the cooperative broker boycott. This is an invisible cartel dynamic that takes place every single day in localized real estate markets, and it occurs entirely behind the closed doors of private text messages, encrypted chat groups, and confidential broker communications. To comprehend how this impacts you, we must examine the aftermath of recent legal shifts and structural updates surrounding commission structures and multiple listing service rules. For decades, the real estate industry operated under a framework where a listing broker would publish a property on the MLS and state an explicit offer of compensation to any cooperating broker who brought a qualified buyer. However, under recent regulatory updates, these mandatory offers of compensation have been decoupled from the public MLS platform. Buyers must now sign explicit buyer representation agreements establishing their own broker's compensation before touring homes, and commissions must be negotiated independently through separate contractual vehicles. Here is how the cooperative boycott functions in the real estate market today. When an old school traditional agent takes a listing, they might convince the seller to offer zero or a heavily reduced commission to the cooperating buyer's agent, telling the seller that this strategy will save them thousands of dollars at closing. The seller, believing their agent is looking out for their wallet, enthusiastically agrees. But what happens next is a masterclass in silent sabotage. When independent buyers agents across the region see this specific listing, they know that if they show this house to their clients will be contractually responsible for paying their broker's fee out of pocket at closing, or they will have to go through a complex friction-filled negotiation process to extract that compensation from an uncooperative listing agent. Instead of dealing with that massive friction, traditional buyers agents will engage in a quiet, uncoordinated boycott of your property. They won't call you to tell you they are boycotting your home. They won't send an email to your listing agent complaining about the lack of compensation. They simply choose to ignore your property entirely. When their qualified, highly motivated buyers send them links to your home from public search portals and say they want to see it this weekend, the boycotted agent will deploy sophisticated verbal scripts to steer them away. They will tell the buyer that the neighborhood has hidden traffic issues, that the local homeowners association is facing a massive special assessment, or that the property has historical unpermitted work that makes it a dangerous liability. They will actively guide their buyers toward competing listings down the street where the sellers are offering a clean, friction-free cooperative commission structure. Your listing agent has effectively caused your home to be blacklisted by the very army of professionals who control 80% of the qualified buyers in the market. Your home sits empty, open houses are completely vacant, and the digital views on your listing drop to zero. All the while, your agent looks at you and blames the interest rates, the economy, or the season, completely hiding the fact that they created a toxic commission environment that triggered a cooperative boycott. The reverse of this sabotage is equally terrifying. If an agent with a highly valuable listing belongs to a traditional corporate brokerage that is known for being uncooperative, hoarding listings, or playing games with delayed showings, the rest of the local broker corps will often retaliate by boycotting that agent's entire portfolio of listings out of pure spite and professional revenge. The individual who suffers the ultimate financial consequences of this corporate warfare is always the innocent homeowner. Your property becomes collateral damage in an ideological and economic war between traditional brokerages who are fighting over who gets to control the commission loops. Your equity is bled dry while your property accrues market days, forcing you into a position of weakness where you must eventually capitulate to lowball investors who smell the blood of market stagnation. We must now execute a deep forensic audit of the technological infrastructure that governs how properties are displayed across the modern internet and how traditional agents use digital manipulation, syndication lags, and internal loop algorithms to keep your listing hidden from the global market. The average retail consumer believes that the internet is an instantaneous, neutral mirror of reality. They believe that the second an agent types a property's details into their local database, it instantly illuminates every screen on Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, and thousands of independent real estate websites globally. This belief is a profound technological misunderstanding that traditional brokerages exploit daily to execute their off-market strategies. The pipeline of digital real estate data relies on a framework known as the Internet Data Exchange, or IDX feeds, which syndicates information from localized multiple listing service servers to external consumer-facing platforms. This syndication pipeline is not a singular, smooth digital river. It is a fragmented series of data bridges that require specific configurations, update intervals, and structural permissions. When an old school agent wants to hide your listing to find an internal buyer and double end the commission, but they are legally terrified of violating clear cooperation mandates, they resort to a practice known as algorithmic throttling and intentional syndication delay. They will enter your property into the MLS database, but they will deliberately manipulate the syndication checkboxes hidden deep within the broker-only portal. They will uncheck the boxes that allow immediate syndication to national aggregators, or they will classify the listing under obscure, non-standard property subtypes that bypass the primary automated search alerts of competing agents. They will list a luxury single-family waterfront estate in Fort Lauderdale under a generic residential classification or fail to include critical geographic keywords, ensuring that it vanishes from the highly specific search filters that high net worth buyers have configured on their mobile devices. Furthermore, traditional mega brokerages have engineered their own proprietary closed-loop consumer portals. When you list your home with one of these traditional corporate franchises, they will often feed your listing data into their own internal algorithmic loop for the first 48 to 72 hours before allowing it to escape into the open internet. They tell their internal network of thousands of agents that they have a fresh, exclusive internal listing arriving soon. They give their internal agents an unfair head start to match that listing with their own buyers, keeping the entire transaction locked inside their corporate ecosystem. What does this mean for your property's digital velocity? The first 72 hours that a home is introduced to the market are the most vital, high leverage moments of its entire transactional life cycle. This is when the listing possesses the psychological aura of absolute freshness. It is when the automated alerts of tens of thousands of highly motivated, pre approved buyers who have been waiting for months are triggered simultaneously. By intentionally retarding the digital syndication pipeline, by trapping your property inside an internal corporate loop or a delayed IDX feed, your agent is effectively killing that initial surge of global digital adrenaline. When the property finally breaks free from the corporate prison and syndicates to the wider open internet 3 or 4 days later, it is no longer viewed by the market's algorithms as a brand new explosive opportunity. It has already been algorithmically degraded. The initial wave of buyers has already moved on to other properties that deployed with immediate technological velocity. Your home appears on the public portals not as a fresh market disruptor, but as a secondary option that has already been picked over by the internal broker network. The digital footprint of your listing is permanently compromised, its organic reach is artificially suppressed, and the probability of generating a competitive bidding war drops exponentially. This is a quiet digital crime against your equity, executed through the subtle manipulation of software configurations by traditional agents who care more about internal corporate synergy than your bottom line net proceeds at the closing table. Let us now enter the final definitive hour of this investigative masterclass and step completely out of the dark shadows of real estate deception, hidden loops, and backroom commission games. It is time to enter the clean, uncompromising light of the highest tier of transactional engineering available in the modern marketplace. In this final section, we are going to lay bare the precise operational mechanics of our business model at South Florida Home Finder. We are going to show you exactly how we have completely re-engineered the process of property disposition from the ground up, why we have systematically eradicated every single form of listing concealment, and how our team commands an absolute monopoly on transactional velocity and global exposure across the South Florida market. Traditional real estate brokerages operate on a legacy software architecture built around proprietary friction, regional secrecy, and defensive informational asymmetry. They want you to believe that their personal network of agents is what sells a house. They want you to trust a local brand name that has been plastered on generic neighborhood benches for 30 years. They rely on the emotional comfort of the seller to execute outdated marketing playbooks that actively suppress the market value of the property asset. We looked at that archaic infrastructure and decided to completely obliterate it. We established a new industry standard that we define as the open source forensic listing paradigm. When you entrust your single-family home or luxury estate in Pembroke Pines, Coral Springs, Tamarack, or Fort Lauderdale to our team, you are not just hiring an agent to put a sign in your front yard and host a weekend open house with cookies. You are deploying a highly aggressive, data-driven institutional apparatus designed to defend your capital with mathematical precision. Our primary non-negotiable directive is to achieve immediate, absolute, and unrestricted global market saturation on day one. We do not engage in pocket listing experiments. We do not believe in whispering about your home to a small group of internal colleagues to see if we can catch a direct buyer before the world finds out. We look at your equity as a sacred trust, and we know that the only way to maximize that trust is to expose your home to the absolute fiercest forces of open market competition the exact millisecond your listing file is cleared by our compliance officers. Our proprietary deployment matrix is engineered to bypass every corporate
Now that we have
bottleneck that
dismantled the
traditional
architecture of
brands
traditional real
use
estate
to slow down
manipulation,
data.
let us step
We
out of the
don't use
shadows and into the
generic
clear
manual
light of our
upload
operational model
processes
at South
that
Florida
sit in
Home
an
Finder.
administrative
This is
queue
where we
for
demonstrate
48
exactly
hours.
why our team
We
represents the
utilize
pinnacle of real estate
custom-built direct
execution.
application
We
programming
have
interface
eradicated
integrations
listing
that
concealment,
push your
commission
property's
hoarding,
entire
and digital
technical
sabotage
profile,
from our business
including
matrix.
high-resolution
We do not
forensic
operate on old school
infrastructure
secrets or
imagery,
closed corporate
structural
games.
elevation data,
We operate on a
and
paradigm
land
of open
mitigation
source
engineering
forensic listing execution.
specifications
When
to
you entrust your
over
property to our team,
100
our primary
national
directive is
and
absolute, immediate,
international
and
real estate
unrestricted
portals
global exposure.
simultaneously.
We do not believe
We
in pocket
configure
listings
our
or
data
off-market
feeds
testing
with
periods.
absolute
We look at your
technical
equity as a
perfection,
sacred trust that must be
verifying that
maximized by
every
exposing your
search
property
tag,
to fierce
geographic
open market
keyword, and
competition on day
infrastructure
one.
variable is
The moment your
fully
listing is cleared by
optimized for
compliance, it does
maximum
not
search
sit in an
engine
internal
ranking.
database for 48
An
hours to give
out-of-state
colleagues
buyer
a head
sitting in
start.
New York or
It is
an
deployed into the
international
global digital
investor
stream
looking
with
to
immediate
deploy
technological
capital
velocity.
from South America
Our proprietary
will see your
syndication pipeline
property appear
bypasses
on
corporate
their
bottlenecks
screen
with
at
advanced
exact
direct API
same
integrations.
millisecond
We push your
as a
property
local
data
buyer down
high-resolution
the street.
forensic
We
imagery
do
and
not
technical
throttle
specs to
your
over
reach.
100
We
national and
weaponize
international
data
portals
velocity
within
to create
minutes.
an
We
immediate
configure our
digital
data feeds to
stampede
ensure
that
zero latency
forces
so an
competing
out-of-state buyer
agents
sees your
and
property at the
buyers
same
into a
instant as
state
a
of
local buyer.
intense urgency.
We don't hide your listing
We
from
advise
anyone,
our
and we force
clients
the
on how to
entire global
structure
market to view it
cooperative transactional
simultaneously.
incentives
We
with
have re-engineered the
absolute
cooperative
clarity and
commission
legal
framework to
stability,
insulate your property
eliminating
from a broker
every
boycott.
microgram of
We design
administrative
transactional
ambiguity.
strategies with
When
absolute
an
structural
outside buyer
transparency to
broker
convert
pulls
the
up a
local
South
agent
Florida
network into
home
an
finder
enthusiastic
listing,
sales
they
force.
do not find
We
a
make it
brick
seamless,
wall
clear,
of
and contractually
uncooperative
bulletproof
notes
for
or
any
hidden
cooperating broker to bring their highest
Most
paying buyer without
importantly,
administrative
we have
friction.
established an
We
absolute,
maintain a pristine,
unyielding
high-leverage
wall of
reputation, so when a
separation
South Florida
between
home finder
our
listing
listing
hits the wire,
operations and
the entire broker
duplicity
core
of
prioritizes showing it.
transaction broker
We have established a wall of
neutrality
separation
that
between
we
our listing
dismantled in
operations
the
and
second
internal dual
hour of
agency
this
manipulation.
masterclass.
If an
our
unrepresented
high-intensity
buyer wants to write an
marketing
offer,
campaigns
we do
happen
not
to
strip
attract
away our
an
loyalty to you
unrepresented
to
buyer
become
who
neutral.
wants to
We
submit a
maintain
direct
fierce
contract
alignment with your
on
financial
home.
interests and
We
protect your
do not
position
drop
during
our
inspection,
shield. We do not
appraisal, and
transition
escrow.
into a state of
We do not
compromised
negotiate against our
transaction
clients to
brokerage.
save
We
a
do
double
not
commission
become
check because
passive
our brand is
referees
built
who
on
watch
securing
your
the
equity
highest
get
net
chipped
proceeds
away
for
during
sellers.
home inspection disputes
Look at the
or
contrast between the
appraisal
traditional agent and the
diagnostics
South Florida
just to
home finder
save a
paradigm.
double commission
The
check for
traditional
our
agent
own
works in shadows of
pockets.
hidden
Our
listings, delayed
team
data, and
maintains
conflicted
an
negotiations.
absolute,
Our
unwavering
team operates in the sunlight of
single-agency
total market
commitment to your
exposure,
financial
immediate
interests
digital
from the
velocity,
day
and
we
uncompromised
execute the listing
representation.
contract
We
to
don't
the
hide your
day
property
the
because we
final
don't have
wire
to play games to
transfer
win.
hits your bank
We
account.
win through
If a
superior
buyer
marketing, engineering,
demands a
technical
price
data integration,
reduction
and an
based on an
absolute
inspection
commitment to
anomaly,
defending your
we
wealth.
do not
When
pressure
you
you
partner
to
with us, you are
capitulate.
deploying an
And that
institutional
wraps up
apparatus
this
designed to capture
definitive,
every dollar of equity the
full-scale
global open
forensic
market can
teardown of the
deliver.
traditional real
Stop
estate
letting the
industry.
traditional real
If
estate
you stayed
cartel
with me
hide your
all the
asset
way
and
through
step
to
into
the
the
end
open
of this
source future
broadcast,
of real
I
estate
want to
execution with our
personally
team today.
congratulate you.
Now that we
You
have
now possess more technical, algorithmic, and contractual knowledge about how property disposition actually works than 99% of homeowners and even most old school agents out there. You are no longer vulnerable to corporate hoarding games, hidden loops, or net equity suppression. I truly hope this deep dive has opened your eyes and, more importantly, given you the absolute leverage required to defend your wealth. If you found high-level value in this masterclass, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a structural market audit. Our mission is simple: to deliver the raw, unadulterated truth with mathematical precision. If you are getting ready to deploy a residential asset or luxury estate onto the South Florida market, whether in Pembroke Pines, Coral Springs, Tamarack, Fort Lauderdale, or Miami, and you want to stop guessing and start underwriting for maximum profit, our institutional apparatus is at your command. Don't sign an archaic closed-loop listing agreement. Let our team execute a forensic diagnostic on your property, insulate your liquidity, and force the global open market to fight for your equity from day one. All of our direct contact pipelines are listed right below in the video description. Send us a message, schedule a private strategic evaluation, or visit our digital portal. It would be an absolute pleasure to review your architectural metrics and guide your capital through the closing matrix with absolute security. On behalf of the entire South Florida Home Finder team, thank you so much for your time, your focus, and your trust. Keep underwriting with precision, stay hyper-focused on infrastructure, and I will see you very soon on the next video. Take care.